Yo, we're
Hey.
back. Hey.
Richard.
Yes, Jonathan Katz Moses right here.
Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So what's your address on YouTube? I mean,
Just my
is that
name,
what you
Jonathan
call it?
Katz Moses, yeah.
Yep, that's your address.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I said, 600 big ones subscribed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people interested in your product and your videos.
It is. We're getting close to 900,000 across all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff.
How often do you do what you would call a full featured post?
Used to be 2 a week,
Ooh.
which was crazy. That was a work schedule. My co-founder, Mark, who's been with me for 8 years.
Yeah. Ooh.
He and I worked so hard for so long, and I think that's part of what helped build what we have today.
Yeah.
And now we get out.
Excess can work.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's that?
excess can work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing, but it can work. So,
right. When I started, every YouTube woodworker was doing a build video. And
Yeah.
they were doing a build video every week or two
Yeah.
where they would build something and tell people how to do it. And I realized we couldn't, it takes 6 weeks to build something great, you
Right.
know? So I figured we couldn't do that. So what I would do is we would build something and then I would take pieces of that and I would use it as a chance to educate people on how to do one thing.
gotcha.
So we called them skill builders. So we do a skill builder on Tuesdays and then a build on Sundays.
Gotcha.
And it allowed me to become an educator, and that's what I became really known for on
Yeah.
YouTube is an educator, not a builder.
That's how it came off to me, was more educational than sell.
Yeah, I've always educated.
I mean, so
The other thing we started doing, I have a video with 22 million views that was
22 million views.
Yeah.
And this did not involve anything naked.
No, not at
Jesus
all.
Christ.
I got to keep my clothes on, so
Good
it was
for you.
incredible. We took a huge risk.
Yeah.
We rented the world's highest definition slow motion camera.
Say that again, please.
Highest definition slow motion camera. They're technically called high speed cameras because they shoot at.
Wow.
This one shot at close to 30,000 frames per second. So it's 30,000 pictures in 1 second.
30,000 frames per second.
Typically, when you watch a TV show, that's at 24 frames. So this is 30,000 frames.
Slowing that shit down.
Right. So when you take this film, 1 second of this at 30,000 frames is something like 13 minutes at 24 frames. So something that takes 1 second, you can watch over
Wow.
13 minutes.
I mean, why would you do that?
Because you want to see how tools work. And so what we did was we recorded what's called a saw stop, which is actually in the news right now. It's a table saw that has flesh sensing technology. So if you touch the blade, it puts a break into it.
Without you getting fucking cut.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I've set it off before.
I'll share this with you straight up, man. I mean, saws scare the fuck out of me.
They scare everybody.
Holy fuck! I mean,
Right.
hey, Farmer John, one of those. They don't scare me. The hacksaw doesn't scare me.
Right.
But you plug that motherfucker in, and I feel like I'm going to lose my hand. And brother, I know some cats that have lost their fingers.
Right. When I got started in woodworking, every older woodworker that I met that I sort of tried to have them mentor me, they all were missing one piece of their fingers. And I thought that you couldn't even do this without losing a finger.
And so, I mean, there's really technology that reacts specifically to flesh.
Yeah, and it stops it. They've never lost. Nobody's ever had an amputation with that saw. 20 years.
Wow, 20 years.
20 years. Never an amputation.
Is it a good saw?
Yeah, it's best.
Oh.
They own 90% of the table saw market now. And there's some controversy over their patent and them being quite...
You think they'd want to pass that shit around? I'm
the
sorry,
U.S.
but,
government...
right?
No, I think that's everybody's argument. The guy who invented it was a patent attorney, so he's protected
Jesus.
it.
I'm dealing with attorneys right now.
Quite well. Are you?
It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna talk about it. I don't want to bore you. Yes.
Yeah, I've done it.
Fuck.
I did it.
What a mess.
Yeah, we.
And it fucks with everything in your professional world too.
Yeah, and your personal.
It's so hard to really just be what you were when it's all shaky.
I'm a single dad.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful 5-year-old daughter. She just turned 5 last week.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this. It gets better, and it doesn't feel like it, and it feels like the worst thing you've ever gone through. But then one day you wake up and you can breathe, and you go, it's behind me, and I can build my new life.
Yeah, fucking A.
And I'm telling you,
fucking A. I mean, that's way more than woodworking or fly fishing right now.
No, I think that goes with anything that is stressing you out or trauma in your life. It just one day you wake up and it's okay again, and it's just
that's real. That's interesting how you put it like that, because you know you can also kind of re-dig into your gig.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's only one thing that fixes emotional turmoil, and that's time.
Yeah,
is the only thing.
You can re-dig into your game. And,
yes.
And I think when you can do that and realize you've been away, right? It's just there is a little bit of comfort in that shit. Because the one thing that, and not to interrupt you, but the one thing that when you lead a business, and this is something that I found in just my fly shop, is that, the bigger it gets, the more it kind of owns you.
Yes, absolutely.
The bigger it gets, you want it to get bigger. You want the revenue. You want the, you want the recognition. You want, the fruit from the fucking effort.
Right.
Right. But, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Oh my God.
It's amazing that Bon Scott wrote that 40, 50 years ago.
Right.
And he was fucking right.
He was right.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Shit.
This is, as an entrepreneur, I haven't had a boss since I was 23 years old.
Yeah.
I started my first business when I was 14. This is the longest vacation I've been here. I'll be here about 2 weeks. It's the longest vacation I've taken in my adult life.
Yeah, I'm taking I can't even tell you what I'm going to do.
I know. Really?
No, because, they're scrutinizing me. My ex's attorneys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not supposed to talk about this.
Fair. Well, don't you talk about it, but I'll tell you this. There is one of the craziest things about being on YouTube for nearly a decade is all of my depressions are documented.
Yeah.
So you see me gain like 50 pounds and then lose the weight.
Yeah.
And it's like, nobody knows because I get on camera and I smile. But, at that time,
you're dealing with shit.
I was dealing with some horrible stuff. And I tell my employees, I got to drive down south to my accountants and have a meeting. I'll be back in like 4 or 5 hours. And I just go home and lay in bed,
That's hardcore.
And it took a while. Real. But then there was a day where I was sitting in my house, my new house, and I looked around and I took a breath and I said, holy shit, it's not so bad anymore.
I'm okay.
I'm okay,
motherfucker. I made it.
And then, like you said, you get back on your game. And
yeah, it's kind of, it's amazing how, again, when you build something, right? East Rosebud, your fucking tool, Jesus.
When I walked in here, it was so obvious to me that somebody had built this with passion.
Yeah, that's just it. And I did.
You did,
and you're right. And
I always million fly shops. I've been in a million.
Well,
fly shops.
I always put this in front of me. I do get to travel, and there's a lot of fringe benefits, and I'm not whining.
Right.
But you know as well as I do that, like, if you're not fucking putting the dough back into it,
oh yeah,
you just become yesterday.
Easily. If you're not hungry, if you're not growing,
yesterday,
you're in trouble.
And that's just the deal.
Well, and when I walked in here, it was very obvious. That's why I was so excited to meet you. I asked Cameron, I was like, are you the owner? Because I wanted to say hi, because I was so impressed by the branding and the care with which someone had made this not look like a corporate, like every other fly shop in the world.
No.
Oh, my God.
I'll tell you, and I've never spoken about this before, and I think I can speak about it. About 5 years ago, a major vendor in the sport started talking to a handful of fly shops about investing or buying them, right? And I had to sign an NDA on this.
Okay.
It's easy to fucking know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say it, right?
Fair.
So, they came in here, and both of these gentlemen I'm very well acquainted with that wanted to kind of interview me for this potential merger of some sort. I don't know. Maybe they just had a bunch of coin, or maybe somebody in a board meeting said, we should accumulate some shops, or whatever. Who the fuck knows? Jesus Christ, these fuckers didn't know retail's a bitch, huh? What the fuck? Right. So these guys come in, and they're good men, and they're successful at what they do. And like I said, I've worked with them. And, bought my crew some fucking pizza, bullshitted, loves my business, right? But, I could tell they're sitting there going, no fucking way.
Oh, yeah. There's no way the fly fish through the chest logo.
No, this is not us, and I think that's my biggest credit to myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Richard, I really have been in a lot of fly shops.
Me too.
And this is not like anyone I've ever been in.
No, I laid it all out there. That's why my ex is coming after me for it. And And she's smart.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, I know you can't talk about that, but I'll tell you
I already
this.
did.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It really credits you.
Well, the one thing that brings us all together is the fishing.
Right.
And the one thing that you and I talked about, as you were in briefly, was that in everything that I've touched on tonight, and everything that you've talked about, it's all taken a lot of heart and soul to pull it off.
Absolutely.
Right? And way more than 40 fucking hours a week.
Absolutely.
Okay. So after you do that, and after you build it like that, you're going to be your biggest fucking critic. But the outlet is something outside of it.
Right.
And that outlet is casting a fly.
Right.
I mean, that's really what we talked about.
Right.
And that's why I did what I did with my store, is because I know there's very, very intelligent, successful, smart, good people that have done well in their lives that for some fucking reason they're attracted to fly fishing.
Because it's the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, fuck. I mean, you get what I mean by that? I
Absolutely.
mean, there's a class of human that's a fly angler.
Right.
Plenty of dickheads, right?
Certainly.
Fuck,
I mean, that's any industry, right? Lots of dickheads,
city,
yeah.
Okay? But there's gems too.
And I think we're all looking for that thing that takes all that craziness we've experienced away for just a minute.
That's it.
And when you're looking at a fly on the water
Yes.
and you're waiting for that moment where you have to be so quick
Yes.
and nothing else matters, it's like the most beautiful thing. And the best part about it is you are forced. The only place to do it is in the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't get to go fly fishing in downtown LA.
Yeah.
You got to go somewhere in the mountains where there's.
It's also like, people are drawn to it. There's a woman that I know that I care a lot about. And, she's just kind of started to get into it.
Right.
Right? But she knows that fishing with a fly is her destiny as an angler. Right? So I took her fishing this past spring, and, I set her up on a fucking nymph rod. It was stupid as hell. But the reason I did it is because, there can be some nice bows in this tributary in the spring, and, I wanted her to hook up.
Right.
Right? And you could catch a 20-incher doing it with the right worm.
Right. Exactly.
Right? I mean, I'm not going to fucking do it, right? So this gal, she has so much integrity as far as knowing what she wants as a fisherman. Right? She says, you don't think this is the way to fish? I'm like, no, I'm fishing streamers all day. Right? I mean, I'm not saying it's not the way to fish. I'm setting you up so you'll catch fish good.
Right.
She's like, but I'm not going to be fishing this way? I'm like, well, not if you're with me. Right? I don't think I said it like that. I'm going to take that back. And I take very few things back, okay?
Fair.
And she's like, well, why are you teaching me a way to fish that I'm not going to be doing?
Right.
And I knew right then that this girl was
going to be a
she's
fly fisher one.
She's legit.
I think that's a good point that you make about fly fishing and the type of people that seek it out is you got to put in the work to even be shitty at it, right?
You bet. And it's funny. I say to people that's just a canned comment. Now, if you fish 20 times between now and the end of the year, you get okay.
Right.
If you fish 2 or 5 times, you don't move the mark at all.
Not at all. I had a buddy with me on this trip. He's one of my best friends. I've been friends with him close to 20 years. And he'd fished his whole life, on a little river by his house with a spinner rod, and he really wanted to try fly fishing. And he was, smart enough. He knew where the fish were and things like that. But I spent, 4 or 5 days tying leaders, tying flies for him and helping him out. But he stuck with it. And he'd sit out there 4 or 5 hours with me and we'll wait, trudge up the stream and not catch anything. And just, he was so happy. And I could tell that he was willing to put in the work. And it was pretty cool to see.
Well, that's just what it is.
Right.
And that's why we talk, your business, what you've done, what I've done in terms of even within a fly shop. I mean, it took balls.
Right.
And, learning through the curves of becoming a proficient angler takes balls.
It does.
Even if you're a gal.
Right.
Right?
Proverbial balls.
Yeah. It really does. Only because what does it require first and foremost?
Work.
And commitment.
Yes. Absolutely.
Just that's it. And it just, just like your tool business and just like my retail business, the amount of work you have to put in to build it is, if it was fucking easy, anybody could do it.
Right. I didn't make money on my YouTube business for 6 years.
Yeah, I bet. And you're passing up though, right?
Well, oh yeah.
You're passing up though, and see, I don't know anything about YouTube. We obviously have a a YouTube page for tying videos and shit, but I mean, you said right off the bat you don't take any sponsorships.
I never did. I turned them down left and right.
And is that the shit that comes on after I click on your video to watch it? That would be something that would come up on another sponsored page?
Yeah, so the ad that you see, we get ad revenue, and we don't control that. YouTube does that. Okay. And those ads are typically geared towards the watcher, the viewer.
Okay.
But the sponsorships are during the middle of the video.
It's crazy shit. It's the fucking fitness ultra diet.
Right.
Or just the golf club.
Right.
Right? It is. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of quirky. Not in the marketplace for the most part type stuff that I mean, I don't really watch them. As soon as I can skip that shit, I'm out.
Right. So the sponsorships where we get paid a lot of money are during some part of the video, and you say, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Scott Fly Rods.
You got it.
Scott provided all the fly rods for this video, blah, blah. And, typically somebody my size is going to get $20,000 to $30,000 for something like that per video. And so,
Jesus Lord.
Yeah, it just depends on the sponsor. I guess I could say probably more like $5,000 to $30,000.
Yeah, sure. Well, but, I mean, it just would depend on probably, the video as far as
how much use they're going to get and how much you're going to talk about them and things like that. And I turned all those down.
It's hard to do that and not sound like a sellout, though.
Absolutely, and I knew that.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
And there's nothing wrong with I think a lot of people make a great living doing that. But I think that what that does is it robs your integrity for later when you have a product you like. There's something you work so hard on it. So I never did it because I knew where I wanted to go was to create a tool company.
Sure.
And if I started to take sponsors, I would lose any ability to move the needle on anything I created.
Well, and one thing you mentioned about East Rosebud, and there's truth to it, it's the branding. And that first 10 years, that's so critical.
Right.
In terms of what you will be.
Right.
In, to kind of, whore that out for a little bit of, front end dough.
Right.
Is probably not the best strategy.
Not at all. I think that seeing your long-term goal and figuring out all the short-term milestones to get there are really important. I always tell people, I'm like, write down where you want to get to the end.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I want to retire at 45. Okay, what is that going to take? Okay, $10 million. What do you have to do to get there? Okay, we got to do this. We got to do that. Yeah. And work backwards to today. Yeah. And then you have a ladder you can climb. And that may change. At the first of the year, I sit down with my co-founder, Mark, and we do a goals list. What's our goal this year?
Yeah, fuck. I got to do all that shit. I'm glad I'm recording this.
Right. We do it every year, and we come back to it at the end of the year, and we say, how do we do? And we set lofty goals, ones that are like, ooh, that's a stretch, like good fucking luck. But we do it because that's how you grow, is you shoot for the stars, and you finish somewhere around, the moon, for lack of a better, that's the word. I hate that saying so much, but that's what you do. Shoot for 10 million this year, and if you get 5, you're going to be stoked,
Fuck yeah.
And that's how you grow. That's how you grow in anything.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And let's wrap it up, all right?
Richard, it's been such a pleasure. I'm such a fan of your
shop. It's an honor, sir.
And,
absolute honor.
It's just absolutely incredible to be here.
Well, I wish I could tell you I could be, working on some woodworking videos, but holy fuck,
Listen, just get better at fishing and tell me how to do it.
I love it.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Jonathan Katz-Moses.
Richard, thank you so much.
From East Rosebud Studios, out.